Hello again, guys. Out here this afternoon. Just got done having 2 days with this 575. I've been running a 24 on it. This is an 84 driver Forester bar. This is, let's see, what brand chain is this? Stihl brand chain. So it'll be a RS full chisel, full comp chain. Rakers are a little grabby. They're probably somewhere around 35 thousandths, which it seems to pull it okay, but it's a little grabby if I'm trying to do bore cuts and such. I wanted to do somewhat of a review. So I got to take this back tomorrow. Like I said in my previous video, I only had it for a couple days because the guy was having hot start issues with it. Let's take this air filter out. Not a whole lot of... Okay, there is a bit of dust in here. Flip you around. So there's a little bit of build-up in here, but not horrible. Air filter's a little dirty. I'll blow that out tomorrow. So what do I think of it? It feels like a big bore-ish 372. And I say big bore-ish because it's not really a 372, but it feels more like a 372 than a 572, if that makes sense. Crap, I was going to check the plug. Some things I like about it are the power. This thing's got a lot of power. I personally did not have a whole lot of issues hot starting this off. I personally think it was his gas, because the only time I had any real trouble hot starting it was when I was still running his gas. So one thing I did do was richen this plug up a bit. I don't know if it'll focus or not. If I can get it to focus on this plug. It's chocolatey brown. I personally thought it was just a touch lean up top, getting a little higher RPMs than I would have liked to have seen. I know these are a little bit of a rev happy saw, and I would agree with that. This thing likes to be in its power band. It's got power all over, but it does better when it's in the band. Typical of any saw. I had it in some ash. It was fairly big. And then I had it in some hackberry that was also fairly big wood. And I had it in some hickory. It did very well in all scenarios. I probably, knowing that these saws have what we'll call weaker bottom ends, I probably wouldn't run longer than a 24 on it. Not to say that it wouldn't pull it. It would probably pull a 28 or even a 32 just fine. But, like I said, the common issue that people have with 575s is the bottom ends. So, I would probably stick to a 24 and just run full chisel chain and maybe run a little bit of a lower raker, like a 30 thousandths raker. That Stihl chain that's on it right now has probably 35 thousandths rakers, which, like I said, it's a lot grabby. I'm not a super big fan of grabby chains. I think it would do better with a 30 thousandths raker. Hold on a second, I gotta come over here and unlock and pop open the garage door and not fall over all my saws. There we go. I run that saw for about 2.5 tanks of gas. I'd run it hard. I'd get that sucker real hot. I'd shut it right off, full throttle in a cut, and let it sit and heat soak for a couple minutes. And then I'd go back over and try to restart it just to try and get it to not start. I didn't have any issues with it. The only real issue I did have was when I was still running his tank of gas and I ran it out. I put my gas in it, and it took about 5 to 6 pulls to restart, which I thought was about 2 pulls too many. But then when I ran my entire tank of gas through it today, I didn't have to tune the low jet. Like I said, I did riching up the high. About a 1/16 of a turn, if that, just to kind of give it a little more fuel up top, maybe pull a little harder. Not that it was lean, because I did do a plug check on it. The other thing that I did notice when I just checked the plug now versus when I checked it when it came in, whatever oil he is using, there's a lot more carbon buildup when it came in versus when I just checked it now. You guys saw the plug, it was nice and brown. If you didn't, I'm sorry. It was very nice and brown. Maybe just a touch rich, but it would run fine there. When it gets a little cooler out, it'll run nice and crisp. I don't run anything lean or borderline lean. I usually have my saws about, depending on the age, a 1/16 to an 1/8 of a turn rich most of the time, or I try to. Like I said, I don't know what oil he's using. I'll have to talk to him when he comes in to pick it up whenever this week, and let him know that the only thing I really did to it was turn the oiler up, because it wasn't oiling near enough for my liking anyway. I turned it up about 3/4 of a turn. He was running winter blend oil. Not sure as to why. Maybe it's just using up oil or whatnot, but I run Husqvarna X-Guard for oil. It's a little expensive, but bars are getting ridiculously expensive right now, so I don't mind paying an extra $2 for a gallon of bar oil, or even $5, $6, $7, $8, $9 more a gallon for bar oil. I don't run crappy bar oil because bars are expensive and I don't want to buy any more of them. I said my thoughts on it are, it's got a lot of power. It is a little bit more rev happy than 372. Some of the things I do like, the top cover snaps anyways. The top cover is a little different because it doesn't have a separate air lid for the air box where you take it off and then take the filter off, like most of the other Husqvarnas of similar age. Once I got used to it though, it's fine. I did like how it had 4 snaps instead of just the regular 3. Sturdier. It felt sturdier, like the top cover wasn't loose, especially on the muffler side, like it stayed right down there. One thing I did notice is the saw runs a little warmer than I would like. If it was mine, I would probably do a muffler mod on it just to try and get some more of that heat out. But like I said, I richened it up a little bit to try and help cool it off a little bit, and I wasn't actively trying to blow the saw up. I was just running it hard and then shutting it off and trying to restart it within 2 to 3 minutes. And then after I got it restarted, I would, give it a couple blips of the throttle and let it cool back down before I put it in another cut. Because A, it's not mine, and B, it is a rather nice example of a 575, and the guy really likes it. He just was wanting to resolve his hot start issue. The reason I think he was having hot start issues is because he was running it on a really hot day and he ran it completely out of gas before he let it cool down, and by the time he got gas in it, it'd heat soaked and blow all the gas that was still remaining in the carb. And that's probably a lot of his issue. And the other issue was, I think it was maybe just a touch lean. And I think it wasn't oiling enough. Adding excess heat to the bar and chain, which in turn adds excess heat to the clutch. And those are an internal clutch, so in turn adds more heat to the bottom end. I don't think it did any damage. The saw idles like a tractor all day. I had it idling for a couple hours while I was running it. Total time, anyway. I really like it. It's got a lot of features that I like. I like how it's still a tunable carb. I'm not on the auto-tune bandwagon yet, we'll put it that way. I don't own anything that new. That's the newest Husqvarna that I've ran other than demo saws. I like it. I just wish they would have done a little more due diligence with the bottom end at Husqvarna, I mean, and added the extra support that the saw needed, so maybe we would still have a 575 or a 576 instead of going from the 570 and 575 to the 576 and now to the 572. I think that was I don't know where they went wrong there. I'm not going to blame them because they were going to a whole new system. They were trying to get to an auto tune to take all of the tuning out and trying to get them to run as efficient as possible because of all the regulations we now have. But my initial thoughts are, and after running it for a couple tanks of gas over 2 days, I really like it. I would buy one. Knowing that it has a, we'll call, weaker bottom end, I would only run a 24 and down on that saw, which is fine. I live in southern Iowa. I don't see a whole lot of huge wood, and when I do, it's softwood. And I have bigger saws to take that place for bigger wood. I have that saw, and I have that 298. The 298 is broke down, as you can see. It's laying all over the floor. I went to put a fuel line in it, and 2 of the AV mounts are busted, and the oil line is mush. So I'm going to be replacing that sometime in the next couple weeks. The 610, I took it as a backup along with the 395 when I went cutting. I didn't even start the 395. I didn't get into anything big enough to justify the 32. The 610 ran great. I got the 575 pinched today, so I had to get the 610 out to get it out. We all do it. We all get pinched. I was cutting on a fairly larger hickory for my area, about 22 to 26 inch wood. I got the saw pinched, so I got the 610 out, and it fired right up, like it always does, and idles like a tractor. Super smooth saw for being rubber mounted anyway. It's a little heavy, but I don't care. I really like that 575. I'm gonna have to try and find one if I can. On another note, I found another bar up here around here. It is a Husqvarna 3/8 050 28-inch bar. This is one of the only bar lengths that I can run that I don't have. I didn't give a whole lot for it. I know the guy that was selling it. He still does some tree work, and unfortunately his Husqvarna was stolen. And now he's got some steels, so he had no use for that bar. He wants to get back into the Husqvarnas eventually because he liked the one he had better. He had a 460 Rancher, and he had a 24 on it, and he bought this for bigger softwood jobs. And he really liked that saw. They're good saws, they're not professional, but he doesn't do enough tree work to justify paying for a 592, 585, or a 572 even. at least at this time. He's looking for a bigger stumping saw, and I told him I'd keep a lookout because I do find quite a few older, large stumping saws. That's one of the nice things about me keeping my ear to the ground on the market, is I can find usually pretty good deals on big stumping saws. We'll call 80cc and larger. But yeah, I got a pretty good deal on this 28. It's brand new. It was never on the saw. And it's an 050 bar, because most of these longer bars are 058 or 063, and I don't run any 063 or 058. I don't see it necessary to run that big of a pitch chain, or that wide of a pitch chain. I mean, it's just unnecessary. But it's going to go right here with the rest of the bars. I've got a 24 off the 298, a 20 inch there, and a 36 clear in the back. So, and then I have the 20 that's on that 575 currently is my barn chain, because I didn't want to use his barn chain. I didn't want to dull his chain up and have to sharpen it, basically, is all that was. And I have a 32 on the 395 right now. So I have everything from a 20, the common bar sizes we'll call. I have everything from a 20 all the way to a 36 now. A 28 was the only thing I was missing, and I'm happy to have it. It is we'll call it cheaper quality bar. It's an Oregon bar, and Husky paint is all it is. But not to say that Oregon makes bad bars. They make really excellent quality bars. It's just they do make nicer bars than that. And now I have one at least, so I can get some 93 driver, or whatever that bar is. I think it's 93 driver, 050 chains, and actually be able to use them. One thing I am going to do with that 24-inch chain that's on the 575 is probably sharpen it again. Not necessarily because it's dull, but because the rakers are a little hungry, and I think it could go for a sharpening. Just to bring those teeth down a little bit, because teeth are shaped like this. They get smaller as you go back, so then they can compensate for a lower raker. And it's steel chain. I've ran steel chain for a long time. I moved, so the dealer that carried steel chain is now an hour away from me. So most of my chains now are Oregon chains, and I also have an Amish friend that buys chain by the roll, and then he's cheaper than even what I can get it at after a discount at my Husqvarna dealer, because I work there now, which is also kind of nice working at a dealer, because I get to see saws that I don't normally see. Like 2 weeks ago, I was working on an 084 and an 08 or an O. No, it's a 660 steel. The 084 stout. Very large, very heavy, but it's an old design, so I wasn't terribly surprised by that. Stout freaking saw. I didn't actually stick in a piece of wood, but it was one of them you just tell by the way it ran. They're stout. The 066 or 660 had a dinky little pull cord on it, and probably no base gasket, so I did get it started, but it was rather hard to start. Not to say that's a bad thing. My 298 is the hardest starting saw I have. It's ridiculous. That's why you guys don't see it very often in wood. And due to the leaky fuel line, well, I don't think it was actually the fuel line. I think it was the tank vent. But anyway, I got to get AV mounts now. Not a big deal. I'm not worried about it. I'm actually going to get another fuel line, and then the fuel line I got, I'm going to cut down for a tank vent, because they're the same size barb. And when I went to put the fuel line in, of course, I ripped it a little, so I'm just going to cut it down and then put a an Echo Weed Eater tank vent on top as the tank vent, because they don't leak, not very often. But that's just about all I wanted to say tonight. Like I said, I really like that 575. I wish I had one. It's real nice. It's got power all over the place, revs like crazy. I wish it had maybe just a smidge more torque, but that's a modern saw thing. The torque isn't as much as what they're going for now, as far as they want more RPMs, faster chain speed, so you have the potential for a faster cut. But I find with the newer saws that I have ran, they don't like 30 thousandths rakers. They like 25 thousandths rakers, which is about what stock chain is. I think is about 25 thousandths rakers, which is fine, you know, if that's what you got, or you have a saw that doesn't have the power to pull a little bit longer bar. You run a little bit lower raker and you get away with it, or a little bit higher raker, I mean. But most of my saws are a little older, and they got a little more torque, so I can run a little bit lower raker, pull a bigger chip, and that's how I make up the difference for potential cut speed. Because my most modern saw is a 450 Rancher. My most modern, we'll call valid saw, is that 395. I think it's a 2000 model. Let me grab it. What are you? Are you a 2000? Something like that? Let's flip you guys around. I got the saw and the mower. This was built in 12 of 2000, so almost to 2001. And if you noticed, the cases still do say 394. At some point, I would like to take that back to 394, as I've mentioned a couple times, but not today, and probably not tomorrow. Anyway, that's just about all for now. If you like the content, if you don't like the content, if you want to see something in particular, one saw against another, or something like that, obviously I won't be able to do the 575 after today, unless he decides to sell it, which I don't think he will. He really likes that saw. One video I do have on plan is once I get the 298 sorted out with some AV mounts, a fuel line, and a tank vent, I'm going to be finding a bigger piece of wood and running the same 36-inch bar and chain that I have over on the wall on it and the 395, and comparing the cut times. I won't be able to do it, but you guys will be able to put a stopwatch on it watching my video. So I'll try and find a big piece of ash, locust, or oak, something that's fairly hard. If I can find locust, I'm going to, because that stuff is hard. That's just about the hardest wood we have here, other than hedge, but you're not going to find hedge that big. It's just very far and few between. I know of one time I've cut 30-inch hedge, and I ruined a chain doing it. That stuff is ridiculous. But if there's any videos in particular you guys want to see, let me know. I do know that I'm coming up in subscribers. I see you guys. Thank you. Thank you for the few of you that do watch my videos. I appreciate it. I really do. It allows me to, or gives me the will to get up and make another video. I am going to be still planning on getting a tripod at some point. It's just, I got a baby due first week of October, so last minute baby things are taking up all of my spare time and spare money, quite frankly. So I just don't have the time to order the $25 tripod on Amazon right now, and I don't have the money. I've got too much stuff going on. Another thing I'm going to get back into this winter is that 266 SE. I don't know if you guys have seen it on video. It has an air leak somewhere. I did a base gasket delete, so it very well could be right there. If it is in fact a base gasket air leak, I'm going to be putting a base gasket back in it, just because it's a pain in the ass to start and I don't like it with that much compression. So it's getting a base gasket. Another build I'm going to be doing, or we'll call build, the 395 needs bar studs. So this winter, when we get kind of caught back up at the shop, I'm going to pull that saw completely down, clean it, and put a bottom end and bar studs in it. Never done that. It's going to be a fun one. My dad's 61 Praktica Rancher needs a bottom end. I know that saw needs a bottom end. It was supposed to have been done already. Before I started working at the dealer I'm working at now, I took the saw into a dealer to be gone through, and I told them that this is a 1983 model 61 Husqvarna. I have been running this thing for almost 15 years. It needs a bottom end. It doesn't run the way it should. It has an air leak, and it doesn't want to rev out. It'll idle, but it won't rev out. I parked it because it has probably an air leak. I want you guys to pressure test it, figure out where it is, and do a bottom end, even if it's just the intake block, because it's a 1983 model saw. I want it to still be around when my grandchildren are here. And I want to do it while the parts are still available, because 200 series parts are not going to be around forever. So I took two saws in. I took that and a 1010 in. I don't remember which one. I have too many of them. I have like 8 1010s. And I told them I don't want the 61 back until it's done. And the 1010 needed a fuel line. I do remember which 1010 it was now. It was the one I got from my grandma's late husband that passed away. That saw needed a fuel line, and that's all it ended up needing, but I thought it needed a carb kit. Turns out it was just leaking air through the fuel line. It made it run like crap. I told him I want the 1010 back first. I go in to the shop 2 months later, which is fine. I told him I have several other saws. I don't need them back. Well, I found out that they ordered parts for the 61 and didn't work on the 1010 at all. So I was pretty upset about that, but it's okay. Got everything sorted out. I'm gonna do a bottom end myself in that 61 and a bottom end in the 395, and if that 266 ended up being a seal leak, I'll do bearings and bottom end in it. And if this 298 needs it, I'll do a bottom end in that sucker too. I'm gonna get good at bottom ends, because not too many people in my area do bottom ends, and I feel like that's a market I could probably get into, is doing bottom ends. They're not that difficult if you have the right tools, and might make a buck or two out of it, who knows. But that's all for today, guys. Just in recap, I need to order some parts for the 298, and I really like the 575. Let me know what content you guys want to see. Bye for now.